Alright guys, welcome back to the JellybeanSniper.net NFL podcast. What the hell happened today? This has already been a pretty insane free agency period. We've seen more movement before free agency than ever before. And there's that 3-day tampering period where it's not tampering that they put in. And it was in place last year, but it wasn't really a big deal. Well, this year, everybody signed before free agency even begun. That's the NFL's fault. That's their problem. I don't care. I don't consider it tampering if literally the entire league was doing it. Now, there's a difference between agreeing to trades as opposed to just agreeing to contracts. Because trades, that's just talk between two, general managers or owners or whoever it may be. And usually with a trade, a lot of them are pending with a contract extension, so you have to negotiate with them. But that's a different category altogether than free agency. Well, why am I bringing up the trades? Well, for anyone who wasn't paying any attention, 4 o'clock hit. We already knew who most of the deals were, but we had more trades in the 5 minutes from 4 to 4:05, roughly, than we have in the last 5 years combined. So, before we get into the people who have signed, who have retired, who are still floating out there, let's just touch on some of these trades. Now, obviously the floodgates opened with my Buffalo Bills trading Kiko Alonso to the Eagles for Shady McCoy. I'm not a big fan of trading away Kiko Alonso. I think he's like 25, 26, something like that. I mean, or maybe even 24. He's young. He played his rookie season, was the runner-up for defensive rookie of the year. And then he missed last season with, I believe, a torn ACL. He didn't quite fit into Rex's scheme, and I guess the first thing Rex wanted to do was trade him. It's not like the Bills aren't deep at linebacker. Between Nigel Bradham and the rookie Preston Brown last year, I think they will be fine at linebacker. It's just a shame to see somebody with so much potential who will probably be a very, very good, if not elite, middle linebacker over in the NFC. You might see him making plenty of Pro Bowls in the next 5 or 6 years, especially with some of the other news that came out today. It's unfortunate to see a talent like that go, but I guess if the Bills are going to have to trade him away, if he doesn't fit into the system, then I guess getting Shady McCoy isn't a bad option. Obviously, he's not the best running back in the league. He's up there in the top 3 or 4. And obviously, he's not as young as, say, Le'Veon Bell. Which, I mean, if the Steelers would have given us Le'Veon Bell for Kiko Alonso, I would have done that and sent them a first-round pick. Oh, wait, we don't have one of those. Well, whatever. And then they re-signed Shady McCoy to a 5-year contract extension worth $40 million, so $8 million a year, which is actually a pay cut for him. But he didn't have any guaranteed money, so it all works out. It seems like a lot. I think at the end of that deal, he'll be about 32. And the Bills do not have anywhere near the offensive line that the Eagles have, and have yet to address that issue in free agency. But at the end of the day, Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy, better option than CJ Spiller. They did not cut Fred Jackson, so that's a plus for me. And the Eagles are going out. I'm going to do a whole section on them later, but this was just one of many one of many roster-defining moves that they made throughout the past 10 days or so. But that's not the only big trade that was made. Starting at 4 o'clock, we got a flurry of a couple of trades, and the biggest one, although I'd argue not the most impactful one, Jimmy Graham is going to the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, that Jimmy Graham. In return for Max Unger. Their picks involved, I believe, the Seahawks are getting a 4th-round pick, and then they're sending their 1st-round pick to the Saints. Good move for the Saints. They still needed to clear out a lot of cap space. They have nothing to work with. I don't even know. They re-signed Mark Ingram. I don't know how they did it. I don't know where they got the money, but they re-signed him. Graham had kind of a down year last year, but he's not a bad player, obviously. And they do need some weapons in Seattle. And a tight end is always really good. So I think this is a good move for them. Giving up your center, I've said it before, center is a very, very underrated position, and that's a little iffy to me, but Max Unger never really... He was good, but he was never really elite like a lot of people expected him to be. So, in that aspect, I guess it's fine. You know, they might pick up somebody else. I don't think they have yet. I don't see anyone. I think this is sort of the Seahawks' biggest move. They've picked up a couple other, like... just cast-offs and stuff like that. Next up, and this is one that I think can be more impactful. There was a swap. The Philadelphia Eagles, there's a shocker, sending Nick Foles to the St. Louis Rams for Sam Bradford. And I believe the Eagles get back a 4th-round pick, and they're sending, I want to say like a 2nd-round pick, but the condition is only if Sam Bradford plays for the Eagles, because there's a lot of talk out there that they're just acquiring these assets and they're just planning on flipping them to move up. I saw a rumor someone, I believe it was one of the Cleveland beat writers, said that there's potential that the Eagles just flip Sam Bradford to the Browns and get the number 12 overall pick and then use that to move up into the draft to get Marcus Mariota. We're not going to know what the hell the Eagles are doing for quite a while. But this would be quite the interesting way to do this. You don't see this in the NFL. You see this in baseball, in hockey, and especially in the NBA. Anyone who pays attention to the NBA even a little bit saw the trade deadline this year, and holy crap, what the hell happened there? That was sort of the feeling I got here. The Rams also went out and traded for Case Keenum, who was on their practice squad. He went to the Texans. Once again, was good for the Texans, and now they've sent a 7th-round pick to get him back. Haloti Ngata got traded to the Lions. I believe the Ravens sent Ngata in a 7th-round pick, and they got back a 4 and a 5. They just needed to clear up cap space. The Lions lost out on Ndamukong Suh. Who knows what's going on with Nick Fairley, so they needed the help there. So that was a good move, but that was just getting something as opposed to cutting Ngata. And then the big one from a couple days ago, Brandon Marshall is heading to the New York Jets. And I think they're only getting like a 5th-round pick out of this. This is another one to clear cap space, and just they wanted to change up how the locker room identity. Brandon Marshall is one of those guys where you don't want him in your locker room necessarily, unless you know how to deal with him. I don't know. The Jets, they're putting together some pieces. They signed one of the top 2 free agents who hit the market. And they get Brandon Marshall, so now you can slide Eric Decker back to a number 2 option. They've got a young tight end. They're apparently not going after CJ Spiller anymore, which I think is disappointing. I think he would have been good for them, but whatever. They're putting together these pieces. They got a good defense, but they don't have a quarterback. And at least with the Bills, they don't have a quarterback either. Even though they made the trade, they went out. That's one I didn't even write down. That's how important it is. They went out and traded for Matt Castle. I think that was another one. It was like a 7th-round pick or something like that. So they went and got Matt Castle to be their quarterback, which is an upgrade over EJ Manuel. It's not great, but I mean, they're putting their money into, or they're banking on LaShawn McCoy being able to be a difference maker on offense and not really needing a quarterback as much. The Jets don't have that wide receiver. They're building a passing offense, but don't have a quarterback. So, if the Eagles go and get Mariota, then the Jets are screwed. Then you got another year of the Geno Smith experiment. Would potentially do better because of the weapons around him, but that's not looking good for them. So, expect another 5-11 season there, maybe 6-10. That whole division just got beefed up over the last 2 weeks. And then the Patriots are just sitting there. They lost a key piece, but they're still holding in there. One more thing I want to get to. I'm saving the free agency for last because I don't know. Not all the big name free agents have signed yet. And the way this works, it's 24 hours. So it's not like because I'm recording this at 3 o'clock in the morning, no one's going to make any signings. Are you kidding me? This is when we'll probably get a flurry of them. I just want to touch on real quick a couple of people who retired. Now, Maurice Jones-Drew retired. That wasn't that surprising. He was still, I think he was 29. So he was under 30, but you could tell he just had so many miles on him that he just wasn't going to be the same. He was probably going to get cut by the Raiders, and he probably wasn't going to catch on anywhere else. Much like Chris Johnson, and it's tragic what happened. Chris Johnson, the ex-running back from the Jets who got cut, he was involved in a drive-by shooting, which he got shot in the shoulder. His brother also got shot, and then the driver, who I don't know if it's... They all have the last name Johnson, so I don't know if that was his brother, his cousin, or if not related. The driver was killed, unfortunately, and they're still looking for suspects, but Chris Johnson is another one. That could have been the Maurice Jones-Drew route where he got released, and then that was the end of his career anyways. I don't think we're going to see Maurice Jones-Drew back in the league even without retirement, and I don't think we're going to see Chris Johnson back in the league. But then there were a couple surprising ones. And we'll start off with Jake Locker, who's 26 years old and 25 years old and has a very, very long injury history. Somebody who I kind of wouldn't have been mad at if the Bills had gone after him. He decided to call it a career. If he still has money, he's made a good amount of money. He's got injured quite a bit, and that's going to start affecting him down the road. Especially once you start pushing 30, any injury becomes 100 times worse than it was when you were 22, 23. So it's a little shocking. I don't blame the guy from a personal aspect. It's a personal decision. You're never going to always get it. You can sit there and say, oh, he's 25 and a quarterback. He could have easily been making $6 million a year. Who cares? Let him go. If he wants to go, if he wants to call it a career and save his body, let him save his body. Because he's probably going to go somewhere making $6 million a year and piss all the fans off. And everyone would have been complaining about him anyways. Let him go. It's cool. Next up, Jason Worlds, the linebacker from the Steelers. He called it a career, even though he was getting plenty of interest. I don't know how old he is, because the Steelers like to take linebackers and then just stockpile them and hide them. He's 27. Okay, so he's young too. They like, you never hear these guys. They come out and they're like beasts. I think that's what happened with Harrison a few years back. Like, he came out like a monster and he was already 29 because he was just sitting on the depth chart, like way buried on it for years. But when it comes to the most shocking retirement, I believe that would go to the All-Pro, arguably the best middle linebacker of the last 8 years, Patrick Willis, at 30 years old, calling it a career. May or may not have been playing for the 49ers next year, but there wouldn't have been a shortage of people interested in looking for him. And I believe he retired to go help out kids. I heard that offhand. I need to pull up an article. Okay, so he retired because of foot injuries. He had a toe injury, and he just basically said his feet just could no longer handle playing in the NFL. And I think when you talk about feet, a lot of people will, sort of scoff and say, oh, it's just your feet, get a massage, whatever. In this kind of, your feet are your most important things. Besides your head, your most important body parts playing in any sport, really, you start from the bottom and work your way up. Your feet, your knees, your hips, and then from there, like, your arms are important, but not as important. Your hands, obviously. I would wager that you would be more likely to be able to play in the NFL with one arm than with one leg. We see people do it all the time. Earl Thomas, separates his shoulder and is just still making tackles anyways on the other side. So, it was a little shocking to see him retire, but he seems like he's actually done. He's got a lot of other interests. He wants to go fishing, he wants to do everything. And the debate will rage on, is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not a Hall of Famer? I would say right now that he is a Hall of Famer, although not a first ballot. You can say that he only had an 8-year career. Well, 7 out of those 8 years he made the Pro Bowl. He didn't make it this year because he got injured and only played in 6 games. If he had just played in 10, he probably would have made it anyways. And 5-time first-team All-Pro. And he would be regarded as the best middle linebacker, inside linebacker, whatever you want to call it, of this generation, had he not played at the same time as Ray Lewis. But that was like 1 and 1A. There wasn't a major separation. The difference is Patrick Willis never won Defensive Player of the Year, and he never got a Super Bowl ring. He went to a Super Bowl, but he never got a ring. So that might knock him down. If he had played 5 more years and had the exact same career as he had the last 8, he would have been a Hall of Famer. I don't understand why you need a couple more years out of him. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but we'll see what happens. But those are the major retirings. I think Jarrett Johnson, the linebacker for the Chargers, retired after playing most of his career in Baltimore. I think he spent a year or 2 in San Diego and called it a career. I don't know that he was necessarily playing that much, but as far as I know, those are the major retirings. And before we even hit free agency, a lot of these major teams just sort of went and re-signed their players and left us without a lot of interesting things. Randall Cobb re-signed with the Packers. He's making about $10 million a year now, I think. He maybe could have made more going somewhere else, but he's 24. He signed a 4-year deal. He'll be 28 the next time he hits free agency. If he can keep putting up these kind of numbers, he'll get an even bigger contract next time. So I'd say that's just betting on yourself, because if you need to put up big numbers, why not just stay with Aaron Rodgers where you're already putting up big numbers? They also re-signed Brian Bulaga, who was supposed to be the best tackle out on the market. It's not very deep with tackles this year. Last year there were better tackles out there, but not so much this year. After Bulaga, I don't even know who the next guy is that you would want to sign. I don't think they really... I think... No, Michael Orr got signed. Yeah, I don't know who you're going to sign for a tackle now. There's not really anyone else floating out there. Most of the good offensive linemen are already off the board. Devin McCourty re-signed with the Patriots. So that was they basically... It didn't necessarily come down to an either-or between him and Revis, but they sort of prioritized the guy who had been there for 1 year, the guy who they view as the leader on their defense. Especially after... And I'll get to this one now. They had cut Vince Wilfork. Or they didn't pick up his option. He had a down year. He wasn't as dominant as maybe it might have looked. He's a good space eater. If he wants another gig somewhere else, he can get it. If he wants to wait until October, the Patriots will probably sign him back for less money. But for the money he was going to be demanding on that option, it wasn't worth picking up for him. So it's unfortunate to see Vince Wilfork not a Patriot right now. I'm not 100% convinced that we've seen the last of him in a Patriots uniform. I think he's more likely to re-sign with them than go somewhere else, but I'll welcome him in Buffalo. But McCourty was one they felt like they needed to keep him, and I don't blame him. He's one of the better safeties in the game. One of the more underrated safeties in the game. So it's good. The Patriots had to prioritize, and they picked well. The Bills re-signed Jerry Hughes. That one wasn't as... I had heard they were going to re-sign him, but I think he's making now like $9 million a year. That was a little shocking, because you got to figure he's getting 10 sacks a year the last 2 years, but he could easily have more, because you got Marcel Darius, Kyle Williams in the middle, and then you got Mario Williams on the other side. Especially this past year where he was a 4-3 defensive end. He should have gotten some more. Obviously, Rex is planning on working him in there. He's going to be a linebacker. He'll be the rush linebacker. So you got to figure they think he's going to have an expanded role, but it seemed like a little much. I would have rather seen that money spent on offensive line, but again, most of those options are off the board. Doug Free, one of the offensive linemen, he re-signed with the Cowboys. Stunned a lot of people. I think they thought they were just going to let him go, but he decided to re-sign. They have a swing tackle. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. He went to Jacksonville, though. I don't know if that's official yet, but he's planning on going to Jacksonville. So they decided to keep their starter. Continuity is very important on an offensive line. Obviously, the Cowboys have the best offensive line in football, so keeping that going, you might as well. King Dunlap is another offensive tackle. Again, these aren't like elite level guys, but King Dunlap's a pretty good left tackle for the Chargers. They re-signed him. The Jets re-signed David Harris, their linebacker, and that seemed like a move just to keep him out of Buffalo. I don't know that the Bills were necessarily going to go after him because they're trading off Kiko Alonso because they have depth. I don't understand why you bring in another middle linebacker when you already got two. And then Brandon Flowers re-signed with the Chargers as well as Dunlap. He also re-signed, which he had a good season this year. He had one bad year, and he was a pretty good corner in Kansas City. He had one down year. They cut him. So, good for him. The Colts went through, re-signed Mike Adams, re-signed Darius Butler. Not splashy, but you want to keep what you can get. The Bengals re-signed Ray Maualuga and Mike Nugent. And the Eagles re-signed Mark Sanchez. He's probably going to be important considering what's coming up. And the only other big one I see here is the Vikings re-signed Matt Asiata. He was the goal line guy, basically. So his stats look a little inflated. But now let's get to the actual defensive tackles who are going to new places. Defensive tackles, free agents. Obviously the big boy, Ndamukong Suh, he is going to the Dolphins. Ndamukong Suh is going to provide an upgrade. He's one of the top 2 or 3 defensive players in the entire league. You figure it's him, you figure it's J.J. Watt. And then after that, I don't know, Revis? I mean, you know, Ndamukong Suh is definitely in the top 5, but definitely top 2 defensive linemen. Easily. The Dolphins, though, he'll help, but for the money they're giving him, I don't know that was necessarily the biggest weakness on your team. For a lot less money, you could have just re-signed Jared Odrick, who went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Could have easily signed Jared Odrick and saved yourself some money and use that to help the rest of the team. I don't understand it. I know the Bills, and I think it's the Jets as well. Charles Clay, the tight end, is a restricted free agent for the Dolphins with no compensation due if he signs somewhere else. So I think the Bills and Jets are planning on offering him a contract, getting him to sign it, and the Dolphins will not be able to afford to match it. So that's a player they're losing. They are apparently keeping Mike Wallace, allegedly, but they've released every other wide receiver on the option or on their roster, so I don't know what their options are. Running back, is Noshan Moreno going to come back healthy and be as good as he was in that, his 1 year for the Broncos before he went there? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks left for the Dolphins, and I feel like that was an investment that they didn't have to make. But again, it's hard to argue Ndamukong Suh. He was going to improve literally every team in the league if he had signed with them. Speaking of people who will improve their team, although I don't know how much this helps, Darrelle Revis is going back to the Jets. I figured when they were talking about it, they're like, do you want to go back to the Patriots and win a ring, or do you want to go and make money? Darrelle Revis has made money during his career, yes, but he's never gotten that big payday. He's never gotten that long-term big payday contract, and this is probably his last chance at a long-term deal. Unless he wanted to start playing on one-year deals for the rest of his career, this was probably his last chance. So the Jets are up paying him about $14 million a year, which makes him... Peterson, and Sherman are the 3 cornerbacks that are averaging that much. So, and he got some guaranteed money. He had to get his deal in. And here's the thing. When you need to play for multiple rings, you need to be the leader of a team. Usually that's a quarterback because they are graded by rings. I mean, we're still talking about how Peyton Manning can't perform in the postseason. He's got a ring. Dan Marino never got one. Jim Kelly never got one. Brady has 5. 4? 4. I always want to say 5. I keep thinking he won one more than he did. Brady's got 4. Montana's got 4. Bradshaw's got 4. Aaron Rodgers only has 1. We have no complaints about that. Brett Favre won one earlier in his career. No one ever argued with him until he played another 15 years and never got another one. But with the other positions, I don't think anybody cares that Darrelle Revis only has one ring because he has a ring. So, yes, he could have gone and competed, stayed with the Patriots for less money. Probably a shorter deal. But he decided to take the money from the Jets because he's only been gone for 2 years. Like, it seems like it's been decades since he played for the Jets. It's been 2 years. 1 year in Tampa, 1 year in New England. The rest of his career, he was on the Jets. So he'll go back, make his money, play out his career there, and that'll be that. And I think that's a good move on him. Get your money. That's the important thing now. You've already got your legacy. You're already a future Hall of Famer. You're a cornerback. You don't really have much else. You're not going for records. You're not going to get the interception record because no one wants to throw at you most of the time. You're not going to get statistical records, but you're going to be regarded as the greatest cornerback of this generation. Just go and make your money now. Next up, Jeremy Maclin, the wide receiver for the Eagles. Continuing with the trend of every Eagles player is leaving, is going to the Kansas City Chiefs, reunited in his home state of Missouri, reunited with his coach Andy Reid. I think he's making $10 million a year. And the Eagles just didn't feel like he was worth that kind of money. And quite frankly, with this draft class, I don't blame them. Even if they trade their first round pick and go up and get Mariota, you can easily in the second round get somebody who's probably as good as Jeremy Maclin. Statistically, he looks good, but he never had a 1,000-yard season besides the 2 that he played with Chip Kelly. So it's not like he was this outstanding wide receiver and got even better with Chip Kelly. He was just sort of, And you can say, oh, well, they ran the ball. No, Andy Reid didn't run the ball. Andy Reid didn't believe in running backs. LaShawn McCoy was just that good that he had to. LaShawn McCoy is somebody who when Chip Kelly came in, he got better. Like, dramatically, but he was already really good to start with. Jeremy Maclin was a sort of, he might be good someday, but we got Deshaun Jackson. So I don't blame the Eagles for not re-signing Maclin for that kind of money, even though they had so much cap room. But I don't blame them. Pernell McPhee, the situational pass rusher from the Ravens, he's going on to the Bears. I hope they gave him a ton of money because it always works out so well when situational pass rushers from the Ravens go and sign somewhere else. Like Dan Ellerbe, like Paul Kruger. These guys tend to work out really well. Oh, wait. No, they're usually busts. So hopefully this is different, but Bears fans don't get too excited. It remains to be seen what's going on, and it's not like you have a lot else going on in that defense. Jared Odrick, I already said, he's going to the Jaguars now. Mike Iupati, another guy I was really hoping would come to the Bills. He's actually going to the Arizona Cardinals. He's staying within the same division. He's a very good run blocking guard and not very good at pass protection. And seeing as the Cardinals could not run the ball on anybody, probably not a bad idea. Although I do wonder who they're going to bring in for a running back, if they're going to bring in anybody. Melvin Gordon in the Cardinals uniform wouldn't be a half bad idea, but I don't know if they're going to get him. Same with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley might still be there, but I don't think they can afford to redshirt somebody for a season. Torrey Smith is going to the 49ers. Woo. Torrey Smith is very good at getting pass interference calls and getting yards that way, but you have to have the ball thrown within 5 yards of you to get a pass interference call, and I'm not 100% sure that Colin Kaepernick's going to do that. Now, maybe he'll be more rejuvenated now that he's not going to have a coach who's going to baby him, but I don't think there's going to be as impactful a signing as I think a lot of people think it will be. Mostly just because I don't think Torrey Smith is necessarily the greatest wide receiver. I don't even think he was the best wide receiver on the Ravens last year. I think that goes to Steve Smith. Julius Thomas, the tight end from the Broncos. A lot of guys, a lot of people were wondering what he was going to do. He is just going to take the money. He's going to Jacksonville. A lot of people are going to Jacksonville. A lot of people. They also re-signed Tyson Alualu, so the Jaguars don't look now, but I don't think they're going to win their division. But I don't think the Titans are going to be very good next year. And the Texans have ex-backup Patriot quarterbacks competing to be their starters. So don't look now, but I don't think the Jaguars will be picking in the top 2 or 3 again next year. I think 7-9, 8-8. I think they can get there. I don't think Julius Thomas is going to put up the numbers he did in Denver, but they've got good young wide receivers there. So if they have to respect the wide receivers, then it'll leave Julius Thomas in the middle kind of open. So I think it's a good pickup for them. They needed a good tight end. And for anyone asking where Mercedes Lewis went, the Jaguars have been asking that question for 4 years. Shane Vereen, the Super Bowl hero, 11 catches at the running back position in that Super Bowl. I am in the New England area, and a lot of people are not going to be very happy. A lot of people thought he was going to fill the Kevin Falk role for the Patriots. He was going to sit there and sort of be the second or third running back. He wasn't ever going to put up the huge stats, but he was going to go out there in pass-catching situations and do a lot of work for them. Instead, he went to their mortal enemies, the New York Giants. I don't exactly know why. I don't think they needed him, but they do seem to be going from a run-oriented offense to, Victor Cruz, Odell Beckham. You're going to throw the ball. Why not get a wide receiver or a running back who can catch? Although I think you could have gotten C.J. Spiller for cheaper, but I don't think they gave him a ton. Is this going to tell me how much he made? No. Next up, in other running back news, Frank Gore, after getting cold feet, he was going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, much like the rest of the free agent class, and instead he changed his mind and went to the Colts, and I think this is a good pickup for the Colts. Frank Gore has never been... You think that he's like... he's a bruiser, obviously, but you seem to think that he's going to carry the ball 300, 350 times a season. And that's not his game. He's usually about the 230 mark. So, 230, 250. So, I think this is a good pickup. He's 32, but his career, he hasn't at all started to fall off. This past season, I think at the end of the season, he was averaging 5 yards a carry. He hasn't started to fall off. His game is still the same, if not slightly better than it was when he was younger. So, the Colts also brought in Todd Herremans, who the Eagles cut. So, that'll help open up the door. You got Andrew Luck, so obviously you got to respect the pass. So I think Frank Gore could have a good career in the Colts, and I think this will help the Colts. I don't know that it gets to the Super Bowl because of a Frank Gore signing, but I think this is a step in the right direction. Now you just need to address the defense. Let's see. I'm literally going by the ESPN free agent tracker and going by the Bill Polian's grades. Sergio Brown goes from the Colts. He goes to the Jaguars. It's not a big deal. He's just a run-of-the-mill player. Owen Daniels going back to Denver to be reunited with Gary Kubiak. He's the replacement of Julius Thomas. I think he'll be fine. He might actually put up some pretty decent numbers. He's got Peyton Manning throwing at him. And Owen Daniels was always a really good tight end back in the day. I don't think he's going to be that guy anymore, but don't be surprised if you see another 700-800 yards out of this guy this season. Darnell Dockett, who was cut by the Cardinals. They were hoping he was going to go back for less money. He instead goes to the 49ers. I don't think he played last year, so it's hard to say how much of a loss it is, but he's a team leader. You wanted to keep him around, but you couldn't afford him. It's unfortunate, but that's just what happens. Justin Durant, the linebacker, going from the Cowboys to the Falcons. The Falcons will literally just throw their money at anybody who could possibly tackle somebody. That was a I don't even know statistically if it was the worst defense, but it seemed like anyone could have the game of their careers against those Falcons. Orlando Franklin, the guard for the Broncos, he's going to the Chargers. AJ Hawk was cut by the Packers. He's now on his way to Cincinnati. I hate to tell you this, Bengals, but you need pass rushers, and that's not what AJ Hawk does. Brian Hoyer, the quarterback from the Browns, he is going to the Texans. Ryan Mallett is staying with the Texans. And the two Brady backups are now going to compete to be a starter there. If I am a Texans fan, I'm not looking forward to this. But I think Brian Hoyer will be a pretty good quarterback there. They've got the run game. They've got Arian Foster, who quietly might be the best running back in the game right now, and I don't think a lot of people even realize that he's still playing, because a lot of people just play fantasy football. It's like, watch what he's doing. He's outstanding still. So I think the Texans, I still think if the Jaguars are better and they only get to split that, I think you're going to see the Colts possibly go 12-4 next year and then a log jam of 8-8 depending on what the Titans do. I mean, maybe Zach Mettenberger will be the answer there. Or maybe they'll surprise everyone and take Mariota. Who knows? Josh McCown. Obviously, I think I covered this already, but he's going to the Browns. Woo. Denoris Searcy, the safety for the Bills, he's going to the Titans. If I sound a little more interested, it's because I actually know who this guy is. I'm just sort of going through the flotsam and jetsam right now. It's sort of the bottom of the barrel guys. Well, not bottom, well, middle of the pack, I guess. The Bills were kind of hoping to get him back on the cheap, but they had already shelled out the money last year to re-sign or extend Aaron Williams, so it's not that surprising. Will Blackman was cut by the Jaguars, and now he's joining the Legion of Boom, so he might be an improvement for them next year. Or he might improve with them next year. Tyvin Branch was cut by the Raiders. He's going to the Chiefs. I'm very curious. I don't... They're going to need the help there because I don't know what's going on with Eric Berry. I wish him, the best as far as his health, but as far as his playing days, I don't know if we've seen the last of him. I mean, that's not something to mess around with. But you're going to need to load up there. James Carpenter is going from the Seahawks, the guard. He's going from the Seahawks to the Jets. Trent Cole, another person cut by the Eagles. He's going to the Colts. Harry Douglas, the wide receiver from the Falcons, was cut. He's going to the Titans. It's not going to mean anything. Brandon Gibson, here's one to keep an eye on. Cut by the Dolphins. He's going to the Patriots. That worked really well last year when they picked up Brandon LaFell, so Amendola might be on the way out the door, so they might need another wide receiver option, and don't be surprised if you see Gibson step it up. Ted Ginn, the kick returner, he's listed as a wide receiver. He's a kick returner, going from the Cardinals back to the Panthers where he played before. Brian Hartline, another cut wide receiver from the Dolphins. He's going to the Browns. Again, Todd Harriman's is going to the Colts from the Eagles. Sean Hill signed with the Vikings. He's just going to go and be a backup there. It's probably the best bet for him. He's always been a career backup, so might as well back up Bridgewater. Let's see. Jacoby Jones is cut by the Ravens. He's going to the Chargers. Everyone I see. Kendall Langford was cut by the Rams. He's going to the Colts. They're just signing everyone. The Titans signed Jonathan Massaquoi from the Falcons. The only reason I'm reading that name off is because I don't know why you'd want to sign anybody who played defense for the Falcons last year. The only one who I even recognize him is Croy Bierman, and that's entirely because my fiance was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. Michael Oher, the blind side, is now going on to Carolina. He might actually go back to left tackle over there. It's a shame that his career didn't work out a little bit better, but he's still in the league. Here we go. Jeremy Parnell, the swing tackle for the Cowboys. Yeah, he is going to Jacksonville. Anyone else here worth noting? Brooks Reed, the linebacker from the Texans. He's going to the Falcons. Again, they're going to take anyone. Keith Rivers, who was signed in Buffalo this past season to sort of fill in a void and be like a starting linebacker. He never even saw the damn field. He got cut. He's going to the Cowboys. The 49ers, one of the more questionable decisions, went out and signed Jerome Simpson. And I can't figure out why. I don't understand that one. I feel like with all the other wide receiver options you got out there, I don't get it. And then the Eagles, someone else they cut, Kerry Williams, the cornerback. He's also joining the Legion of Boom. So this is going to be interesting. The reason why this is interesting is because the Philadelphia Eagles, they have totally reshaped their entire franchise, it seems like. We obviously know about the LaShawn McCoy trade. And we know about the Nick Foles swap for Sam Bradford, and Sam Bradford might not even stay on the team for that long. They obviously, Macklin's gone. Deshaun Jackson left last season. They re-signed Brandon Graham and Mark Sanchez. But then they cut Kerry Williams. He's gone. They cut Todd Harriman's. He's gone. Trent Cole, gone as well. The last two went to the Colts. Jeremy Maclin, like I said, they lost out on him. He went to the Chiefs. And then they brought in Byron Maxwell from the Seahawks. Probably for more money than he is worth. It remains to be seen. But he's the nickel cornerback from the Legion of Boom. I don't know that you needed to get your hands on him. They were going to bring in Frank Gore. He changed his mind at the last second and went to the Colts. And this is why it's funny. That was the only person I've seen so far this offseason where somebody was, this free agent tampering period. He's the only player who backed out on his deal. Everyone else sort of went where they thought he was going to go. It's funny to me, and a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's just, Chip Kelly's trying to get rid of everyone who played for Andy Reid. Well, not necessarily. He might just be trying to get guys who fit his system. That could just be it. It could be, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. If this was Bill Belichick doing this, we would give him all the credit in the world. But because it's Chip Kelly and he doesn't have the ring, we're going to sit here and judge him. Let the man do what he's doing and let's see what happens. But for right now, I don't think you need to worry about it, Philadelphia. I know your jerseys are useless, and I'm sorry. But that's a you problem. I'm a Bills fan. I just went to the mall today wearing a Marshawn Lynch Bills jersey. And I'm sitting on an Arthur Motes jersey over there as well. He just got a contract extension with the Steelers. Good for him. My Fred Jackson jersey is beat up. And I was kind of looking forward to him getting cut only because the jersey would have been 50% off. So look at it that way, guys. Just buy up these jerseys now because they're cheap. But if you know what? If you see what's going on right now, I do not pre-order a Sam Bradford jersey. Are they offering that? That's a good question. We're doing some in-depth research right now. It's sort of like when you had the LeBron James, the letter. He didn't mention Andrew Wiggins in his letter. Like, at all. So everyone was sort of like, hey, wait a second. Does that mean he's not coming here? But a lot of teams, like I got an email today. Okay, they do have it up here. I got a letter today telling me to pre-order my LaShawn McCoy Bills jersey. But here it is right here. There is a pre-order right now for the Sam Bradford Eagles jersey, so assuming they're going to honor that. Can I click on it? I can, okay. What is the best way to show off your fandom for your favorite NFL player, Sam Bradford of the Philadelphia Eagles? Oh, really? Is that what we're going with? Okay. Here's the deal, guys. I buy jerseys based on who my favorite players are and not necessarily the team they play for. Obviously, most of my favorite players are going to come from the Bills, but I owned a couple of LaDainian Tomlinson jerseys. I still have one. Unfortunately, my beautiful, beautiful powder blue Chargers jersey, that one got ruined. But I buy up for players. I've owned a Brett Favre jersey in my lifetime. I almost bought a Teddy Bruschi jersey, but then I couldn't justify wearing a Patriots jersey. So, buy based on your players. I read this a while ago. It was the Seahawks, before they got good. It was after Sean Alexander and Matt Hasselbeck, and before they started getting good again. This guy would go out, the major players on his team, he would get them tattooed, and he had a lot of people, obviously, who were no longer on the team, and they asked him about it, and he said, once you've played for my team, like, you're just a member of my team. The Patriots had Darrelle Revis for one season. People in New England will remember him fondly for years to come, because he might be that free agent that helped get them over the hump. Even if he had nothing to do with that interception at the end of the game, even if that was Brandon Browder and Malcolm Butler who made that play, at the end of the day, people are going to remember Darrelle Revis fondly. He only played one season here. So, love the players and not necessarily the team they play for. I still like Marshawn Lynch. I'm glad he went to Seattle and had some success because he was terrible on the Bills. So, I had called it when after Fred Jackson's first season in Buffalo, I remember saying to another Bills fan I knew, yes, there are more than one of us. I said something to him. It was probably in like June. I'm like, Fred Jackson's going to start this year, and Marshawn Lynch will be coming off the bench. He didn't believe me, and then sure enough, week 1, that's Fred Jackson out there, and by midseason, they had traded him to the Seahawks. So, it's unfortunate, but you can root for the player, so don't feel like you have to burn your jerseys. My mother-in-law went out to one of the Salvation Army, one of those types of stores. And for $15, she brought me home 5 Marion Barber jerseys from the Cowboys and a Brady Quinn jersey. And she brought my nephews 3 jerseys each. It's ridiculous for $15. And I don't care because they're the authentic jerseys too, so I don't care. They didn't cost me a dime. And I'll wear them because I think as much as I dislike the Cowboys for many years. The Cowboys have some really nice looking jerseys, especially their navy blue jerseys. So wear who you're going to wear. If you really, really were a huge fan of Jeremy Maclin on the Eagles, then wear that damn jersey with pride. And don't look at, he's no longer on the team. Look at, when he was on the team, he was awesome. I'll pull out my Doug Flutie jersey if I got to do it. I'll pull out my Eric Moulds jersey if I got to do it. Those are still sitting over there. Don't look at somebody and say, he's not on the team anymore. Look at what he did while he was there. Now, I am very glad I never pre-ordered an Aaron Maben jersey. That would have been a laughingstock. But if you have a player who's really good for you for 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, Houston Texans fans, don't start burning your Andre Johnson jerseys. Keep wearing them because he's the best player you've ever had. Well, J.J. Watt will probably go down as that in a couple of years, but for right now, he's still the best player you ever had. Don't freak out. I'll pick up a Kiko Alonso jersey if I find it for half price for the Bills, even though we only had 1 year, but he had one spectacular year. So, don't get beat up over that. I know, we're fans. We fall in love with players, and we fall in love especially with players on our favorite teams. And it's unfortunate when you see them go. I was upset when they traded Willis McGahee. I was upset when Peerless Price left town. But that's just what happens. Although, I think it's funny people talk about Peerless Price being a free agent bust, but he got traded for a first-round pick that they used to draft Willis McGahee. So, don't get too pissed off if your favorite player leaves town. That's just what happens. And unfortunately, it's free agency. That's just what's going to go. And now, we do have quite a few more free agents that we can sit here and talk about. Let's see, who's the best? I mean, these guys are all franchised. DeMarco Murray is still sitting out there. Terrence Knighton is still sitting out there. Knighton, everyone keeps talking about Oakland. That's still in play, I would assume. DeMarco Murray, I'm not hearing anything. I thought he would have gone to the Colts if he was going to go anywhere, but they got Frank Gore, so that's not going to happen. So, I don't know where DeMarco Murray goes. I've heard Jacksonville kicked out there because they're trying to spend money. I think Jacksonville or Oakland, I think those would be just terrible. They'd be good for him for money, but you'd go from the best offensive line football to... Those are probably the 2 worst. George Johnson, the DN from the Lions, he's a restricted free agent. Who knows what tender they put on him. Tremont Williams, a cornerback from Green Bay, he's out there. Akeem Ayers from the Patriots, he's out there. Like I said, Charles Clay, the tight end from the Dolphins, he's on a transition tag. But you don't have to give him any compensation, and the Dolphins won't be able to match many offers. Michael Crabtree, the wide receiver from the 49ers, is floating around. Justin Forsette's floating around, the running back from the Ravens. John Kuhn, the amazing fullback from the Packers, is out there, but let's be honest, there's a good chance he just goes back to the Packers at some point. Ryan Matthews is floating around out there if you want a running back who's only going to play 2 games a year for you. Rolando McClain, after a pretty good year in Dallas, he's available if you need some linebacking help. Brian Arakpo, if you think he can revert back to his old form and be a dominant pass rusher, he's sitting out there and you can probably get him at a good discount. Jordan Cameron, the tight end from the Browns, he's out there, but he's had some concussion issues, and I wouldn't mind if the Bills tried to pick him up, but you got to be wary because there's injury concerns. Greg Hardy, dominant defensive end from the Panthers, beats the crap out of women. Andre Johnson is the big cut from the Texans. He's floating out there now. Kenny Britt Okay. Antonio Cromartie could be helpful. Is he the best corner? Tremont Williams is probably the cornerback right now, but after that, it's Antonio Cromartie. So, C.J. Mosley, basically anyone who played defensive line for the Lions is available right now. Nate Allen, the safety from the Eagles, because they're not going to bring anyone back. Croy Bierman, if you really want to get the Real Housewives of Hotlanta in your team, he's floating around. Alan Branch, who played for the Bills, they cut him because he got a DUI, and then wins the Super Bowl with the Patriots. Brandon Browner got cut from the Patriots. He's floating around. Reggie Bush is out there. I don't know. I mean, someone's going to sign him, but it's just, I don't know if you want him. Anthony Collins, the tackle for the Bucs, he got cut today. Dan Connolly, the guard from the Patriots, he's available. Chris Conte, who got run over by Fred Jackson, he's out there. Nick Farley, the defensive tackle for the Lions, he's available. Vladimir Dukas is out there if you want to get yourself a UMass alum. You know you want to do it. That's where Victor Cruz is from. Andre Flalen, I don't know, but another defensive tackle for the Lions, he's out there. Jonathan Goodwin, the center from the Saints, is available. They're definitely not going to pick him up now because they got Max Unger. Jermaine Gresham, if you need another tight end. Percy Harvin got cut officially. Mark Herzlich, I hope somebody picks him up, the linebacker for the Giants. He's a guy from Boston College who had cancer and came back. He's not going to put up a Hall of Fame career, but I wouldn't mind seeing him getting signed somewhere as sort of like a situational linebacker, or just whatever it may be, special teamer. I'd like to see him get another, just get signed somewhere. Maybe the Giants will bring him back. Darius Hayward-Bay is out there if you want to waste your time with that. Steven Jackson got cut. I think we've seen the last of him. There's too many running backs right now. I didn't realize Jake Long got cut from the Rams. I mean, he'll get picked up because he was one of the best tackles in the game, but injuries have just sort of he's not a bad player now. He's injured so damn much he can't play at 100%, so he even knows. DeJuan Landry and Dwight Lowry, the safeties, are out there. I always get them mixed up. Taylor May is the guy who got really pissed off at Pete Carroll when he drafted Earl Thomas before him. That seems like a win there. Darren McFadden. Yay. Brandon Merriweather, if you need someone to get you just literally all of the fines. Chris Myers, the center from the Texans, is available. B.J. Raji is out there. Antrell Roll is out there. Let's see, who else? Cecil Shorts, who's actually an okay wide receiver for the Jaguars. He's available. Brandon Spikes from the Bills. I don't think they're going to bring him back. If you need just a run-stopping linebacker, he's out there. He's still okay. He's just not an every-down linebacker. So you can't pay him like he's an every-down linebacker. The Saints cut Pierre Thomas, who might be the best running back they've ever had. I don't know. Someone will kick the tires on him. Vince Wilfork is still out there. D'Angelo Williams got cut from the Panthers. He might get another shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the end of his career. Kyle Wilson, the cornerback's out there. I believe he's young. Stefan Wisniewski, the center for the Raiders. He's out there, but again, I don't know if you want anybody who was playing for the Raiders. John Abraham's available, who retired then didn't retire. He might just retire. Who even knows? Miles Austin is available. Yep. Jason Avant and Donnie Avery were wide receivers for the Chiefs last year. They're available right now. Dwayne Bowe will probably join them soon. You don't want anybody who played for the Chiefs wide receiver core last year. So, two of them will probably be on the Bills. Let's see. Who else is out there? Stephen Bowen's got cut from the Redskins. That's cool. Daquan Bowers, another disappointment out of Clemson. The Bucs defensive end, he's available. Jarrett Boykin, like the number 5 option wide receiver for the Packers. Lance Briggs, you're going to have a lot of Bears out there. Lance Briggs, if you need some veteran leadership, I'd bring him in. He's not going to be the best. And you've also got Peanut Tillman out there. Another guy with veteran leadership. Eben Britton as well from the Bears, the swing tackle. Ronnie Brown, running back for the Chargers. I didn't know he was still in the league. I thought he was gone. But apparently Ronnie Brown is still around. I was joking around with Zach Dressler, who used to do... I don't know if he's the producer or editor or what he was on the Around the NFL podcast. And I was going back and forth with him on Twitter, and it eventually ended with the thought of Ronnie Brown, current Ronnie Brown in the present, running the Wildcat for the Bills offense, scarily sounds like an improvement over what they did last year. So, he's available. Oh, Jason Campbell's out there. If you need Jason Campbell. Who else? I mean, we're down in the D territory now. This is not like... They're listing Ryan Clark as a free agent, but he retired. He already signed with ESPN. He's done. Terrence Cody, if you need someone who beats up animals, he's available. Austin Davis is a restricted free agent. I don't know if anyone's going to go for him. But, I mean, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks right now. If you want to take a flyer on Austin Davis, then I'd say go for it. Marcus Easley, wide receiver from the Bills. He's mostly a special teamer, so he'll probably be back. Let's see. Cortland Finnegan, someone who got cut from the Dolphins. Again, and Matt Flynn is there as well. If you want somebody who you thought was going to be good at one point, or you just believe that they were good before, there you go. Jerome Felton, the fullback. I'm only putting him out there because it seems like he's going to he's in Buffalo right now. It seems like everyone's pretty sure they're just going to sign him. Dwight Freeney, if you want to give him one last chance, he's floating around. I think this is listed in alphabetical order, so... let's see, who else is out here? Chris Hairston, the tackle for the Bills. He's a restricted free agent, but the Bills didn't put a tender on him, so he's an unrestricted free agent, so you can go ahead and get him if you want him. He's one of those guys who had a better rating in Madden than I think should have. Like, he was like an 83 tackle in Madden, but nobody, like, in real life, nobody wanted anything to do with him. Peyton Hillis got cut. Again, didn't realize he was still in the league. He got on the cover of Madden. That was his Madden curse, as they exposed him as being a one-year wonder. Tavares Jackson is available again. He'll probably just re-up, won't he? Does anyone get an F grade? No, he only gives Ds. Again, Chris Johnson's out there. He probably won't get another contract anyways. Brett Kiesel, the beard, got cut from the Steelers. He's out there. Marquette King, the punter for the Raiders, so I think it's supposed to actually be pretty good, but he's available. I'm looking back-to-back at Doug Legursky, Jim Leonard, and Thad Lewis, who respectively played for the Chargers, Browns, and Texans. But all three are in Bills jerseys in their picture. I do not remember Legursky playing for the Bills. Huh. You can get your hands on Ryan Lindley if you want him. I don't know why you'd want him, though. Jake Locker retired. Daniel Manning is out there. God, it's like a lot of guys who were really good 5 years ago are available right now. Colt McCoy is a free agent. I'm surprised nobody's kicking the tires on him. Joe McKnight's available. I only bring him up. Every time I think of him, I think back to his USC days. He was the guy who was doing the weight lift. Dropped he was doing the bench press, dropped it, and like broke his own trachea. And it still astonishes me that he's in the NFL. That's just what I always think back to with him. So I cannot see his name and not think that. Let's see. Who else we got? This is probably a boring... You can just probably flip through the free agent tracker if you want, but we're just going to flip through some more of these names. Matt Moore is out there. Oh, no, Sean Moreno's a free agent, so that might not even be an option for the Dolphins. Santana Moss is a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up as like a third wide receiver somewhere. Kyle Orton is technically a free agent, but he retired as well. Does anybody know how long Madden keeps up with the roster updates? I know I can go online and just like find them myself, but I don't think you can update the contracts yourself. I don't think that's the thing. Stephen Ridley, the other running back for the Patriots, is out there. Dominic Raiola, didn't he retire? I feel like he retired, or did he get cut from the Lions? The longtime center. Samson Sattel for the Dolphins, he's another one out there. Had a decent season, but overall not great. Kelvin Shepard, the guy who famously the Bills traded to the Colts to get their hands on Jerry Hughes. He actually I believe he just re-signed with the Dolphins. But it's just funny because I remember being ticked off that they made that trade because I thought Kelvin Shepard was a better player. Whoops, I was wrong on that one. Alex Smith is a free agent. Don't get too excited. I'm talking about the tight end. Surprised he's still in the league, actually. CJ Spiller. Oh, wow. CJ Spiller is all the way down here. Oh, really? Devin Still. He's a free agent right now. Restricted free agent. I wonder if they offered him a tender. Huh. Last page. Walter Thurman. Yep, there he is. There's Charles Tillman. Osi Umenyiora. So again, you want to relive the glory days. Oh, Michael Vick is available. That's right. Nate Washington, Reggie Wayne, Wes Welker. If you want, wide receivers way past their prime. Wes Welker, just concussions, but I think his play is sort of deteriorating anyways. Reggie Wayne. Maybe Reggie Wayne, just that injury hurt him really bad last year, but who knows. Dan Williams. Not the greatest, but if you need a run stuffer for your 3-4, there's your guy. Eric Winston, president of the Players Union, he's available. Here we go, the not available grades. Yeah, Jarrett Johnson, retired. Nick Hardwick, retired. Zach Miller got cut. He's got no grade available on him right now. Michael Ruse retired, and Philip Wheeler got cut. So, and Nick Roach got cut, and from what I've heard, he might not be able to come back with his injuries. So, let's take one last look. Anything interesting coming down the pipeline? Anything at all? Nope. Okay. So that's your free agency recap. I'll probably do another podcast. I was going to do one on the 20th. I don't know that I'll do one next week. I think I'll wait till the week after and do one. Let's see. Let me look at the... Yeah, I'll probably wait. You're probably looking the first week of April. I'll do my next one. And I'll do a podcast going into the draft. Because I don't have inside information. I don't want to sit here and just speculate the whole time. Because speculation didn't really lead to much, because who would have speculated that Jimmy Graham would be a Seattle Seahawk or that Sam Bradford would be a Philadelphia Eagle? There's way too much to speculate about, and I don't want to sit here and speculate because I got no sources whatsoever, so I can't even go to anything. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to answer the question of the day, which is going to be, what the hell happened? What is going on here? No, the question will be, do you think the Eagles are done trading? Like, do you think that Sam Bradford will still be a Philadelphia Eagle for week 1? Or do you think he's just going to be a part to be used to acquire Marcus Mariota? Are the Eagles done? That is the question of the day. Obviously, there's some more exciting stuff. You've got, some free agents out there who are pretty good, but that would be my question. Are the Eagles done remaking their roster? So be sure to answer that down in the comment section below. Please leave a like on this video, and please be sure to subscribe so you get all of my podcasts and any other of my content here, whether it be Pokemon Nuzlocke, whatever it may be, if you're interested in those kind of things. And be sure to check out jellybeansniper.net, where you will get all of my content streamed to you in one convenient location. All of my works, my comics, my full review videos, my Let's Play videos, whatever it may be. And also keep an eye out on me on Twitter at jellybeansniper. I'm thinking I'm going to start up an actual, just traditional, sports blog and writing articles. It'll probably just be like a Tumblr account. It's not going to be anything too fancy. I do have a Tumblr that I'm not really using, so maybe I'll just repurpose that. Just to get back into the journalism field of it, because I used to really like doing that. So keep an eye out on my Twitter. I will be probably posting on there. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. And maybe I'll be playing quarterback for the Eagles by then. I'll see you guys next time.